Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's good that we back here today. Listen, we got a wonderful show today. We have a good show today. We want to talk about how we evolve our faith in these times. Times are changing. Things are happening fast. Everything is going on. The world is changing. Old paradigms are being torn down and new ones are being lifted up. So how do we evolve our faith? And exactly what is faith? We're gonna answer all of that with me and my brother Craig. We're gonna come on and we're gonna have a discussion and we're gonna try to join in. And listen, yeah, that experience starts about right now.
Nothing easy. Tell your body how to move and feel. It can serve as meditation, so no need to pop a pill. Satisfies your heart's desires and allows your mind to heal through the sturdy music. Tell your body how to move and how to feel. It can serve as meditation, so no need to pop the pill. Satisfies your heart's desires and allows your mind to heal through the sturdy. Oh yeah.
My boy Craig, what's going on, big brother?
We here, man. We're blessed to see another one. Blessed to be back in each other's presence again, man. It is always a blessing to be here.
Yes, sir. Most definitely, man. Most definitely, man. So, how was your weekend, man? How was things for you?
Listen, I can't even lie. I ain't had that much fun, literally, in 2 years.
Yes,
I
sir.
finally got to get out, be amongst some of my DJ peers, be amongst some good friends and family that I've met along the way. It just wound up being 3 days because I was off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So it just wound up being 3 days of grown folk festivities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a good time right there, man.
It was, man.
Listen,
It was a great to fellowship with the music. It was great just to have like good conversations with folks. Great just to catch up, man. And it's funny how those small things, like just you realize how many things you've missed over a course of time after you've had an absence and you finally get reconnected with other people. It's like, whoa, like all that, like these are the things that's been going on, because you only get snippets on social media. You can't really gauge what's going on in people's lives from these little snapshots and highlights, man.
true indeed, man. Listen, man. There's nothing like celebrating life, you know. That's why
Absolutely.
I never had an issue, with people just enjoying themselves on the weekend. You had a hard week's work, and you want to go out and just celebrate enjoying life. That you made another week, that you survived another week, you know,
Exactly.
the and blow off a little steam. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Hmm.
like, yo, and those things actually help us to reconnect with each other, especially in a world that is so fastly evolving. So, I mean, just going so quick. It's
Hmm.
just a wonderful thing for us to have those moments, have those times where we can get together with people and say, yo, what's going on in your life? How are things? What's happening with you? You know?
Absolutely, man. I could not agree more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
Man.
so, what we talking about today, man? Because I feel a different kind of energy today, man. What we gonna talk about?
Man, we're going to talk about evolving our faith,
Mm. Oh,
evolving our faith.
you
And,
use
and, and
E word in there, huh?
yeah, man, listen, man.
That E word means there's some work in there, huh?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, evolving takes energy, evolving takes effort,
Yeah.
Evolving takes, thank you, takes, evolving takes, evolving takes a commitment. And a lot of things that we think we're committed to, we really aren't because we see we don't evolve in the process of,
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, it begins to show us where our desires and our hearts and our passions really lie and where they don't. So sometimes discussing stuff like this helps us to reprioritize, helps us to put things in its proper places, you know?
Again, I could not agree with you more, man. That C word, that commitment word, is the only way that you're ever going to get to see any kind of evolution, because
Yeah,
more
man.
often than not, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process,
Yes, sir.
you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Diana, what's going on? I see you tuned in today. Welcome back. I know it's been a while, but we're glad to have you back today.
Good to have you.
Yeah, that commitment, man. That commitment word just kind of that scares so many people away with so many different things. We hear it a lot of times in regards to different types of relationships, but I guess anything that any evolution that you hope to see, you're really getting into a relationship with that thing. So it's always going to be framed as some type of relationship.
Most definitely. Most definitely. You know, commitment commitment really comes to show you where you are.
Hey,
You know, a lot of times we think that commitment deals with outward people, other things, other experiences. No, commitment really deals with where you are and how you handle your experiences and where your goals really lie. When we get to understand that, then we can move in a place, from a place to a place. You know, a lot of us are stuck in a place and we
yeah,
never get to move from a place to a place or to
mhm,
another place because we think we're committed because we're doing all the outward things, all the outward shows. You can have an outward show and still be not committed and still not be committed in your heart. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know
oh
why
yeah,
I'm
no, no,
getting tongue tied.
I got you. Yeah, like you said, have an outward showing and not be committed in your heart. I got you 100%, man. I used to be one of those people, and from time to time, if I'm being transparent, I'm still one of those people that comes up with great plans. I
Yeah,
mean, great plans. They are mapped out from A to B, and I got points, 1.A and 1.C and all. I mean,
yeah,
they're mapped out. I got contingency upon contingency. What I don't always have is the execution, because when it really comes time to commit to doing the work, I, I find other reasons not to do it. I find something else that distracts me, or that motivation that was there initially has fleed.
yeah, yeah. Well, sometimes we have to understand that it is in those moments that we begin to, I guess, break down certain aspects of our life. Sometimes we're inspired to have the idea to pass it on to someone else, to
Hmm.
carry out the idea,
Hmm.
and that is the evolving of the idea. Every idea isn't meant for you to bring to pass. Sometimes you're just a visionary and you're giving the vision to someone else to run with it and build it. And then after they build it, when they leave the scene, someone else can live in what they built and evolve it further. So, I'm like, you know,
That's a great example of every member, we all being part of the body, but everybody having different responsibilities within the body
yeah,
itself.
man.
Every
Yeah,
member
man.
having responsibilities.
Yeah, man. I mean, when I'm hungry, my stomach is growling, but it's my mouth that's intaking, but my
Right.
mouth can't intake without my hand. So
Yeah,
everything has to function and work together to make sure that it evolves the process of feeding that desire. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? And, you know, what I love about this is that this is much bigger than a religious conversation.
Oh yeah.
Most time people, uh, uh, they give that word faith to religion, But faith is for everybody because
Yes.
every man is given a measure of faith. Faith is for everybody. Faith is how we move, how we live, how we faith is built on trust. Faith is built on trust because you're not going to have any faith in anything that you don't trust.
Right.
And evolution cannot happen where there is no trust. A lot of us will stay stuck in our comfort zones because we do not trust what the next phase will look like. A lot of us will stay stuck dealing with people who we know, yo, this is an abusive situation. Like, I shouldn't be in this because we don't trust ourselves to make better choices in people that we should surround ourselves with.
Right.
A lot of times people will be like, nah, it's not that. I don't trust them. No, it's not that you don't trust them because they were your choice.
Right.
What you really don't trust is your choice.
Right. That's an accountability part that nobody really likes to be, upfront about, right? You made some decisions, or you made some. I'm reluctant to call them bad decisions, but you made some decisions based on something that may not have been sustainable or something that's no longer suitable for you. And now you're left with the consequences and ramifications of that decision. So when you need somebody that's going to pull your coattail, when you need somebody that's going to give you a swift kick in the pants, when you need that person that's going to be that voice of reason or encouragement, they're no longer there.
Exactly.
And the support system that you thought you had, you realize was just a bunch of court jesters.
Yeah. And it's okay. My thing is, it's okay because you have the ability, you have the authority, and you have the power to put in place and take down.
Yes, Lord. Come on.
And that is how we evolve in our relationships. That's how we evolve in our interactions with other people, by knowing who to keep in place and who to remove from place. Because it's very essential to our evolution in faith, in what we believe, that we make these mistakes. That we make, and sometimes, I can't even call them mistakes, that we go through the process.
Right.
A lot of times what we call mistakes aren't really mistakes. They are just a process of going through.
They are what I like to call, like in the future, steps to exclude next time. Right?
Most definitely.
The experience that you get from them is what, but every not, I don't want to say everything because I hate being so definitive, but the thing that people term as mistakes, when you look back at it, we then redefine them or recategorize them as experience.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I touched the hot stove once, won't do that again. Was it a mistake?
Understand?
Well, it might have been a mistake to do it initially, but now I have the experience to know not to do it again.
Most definitely. And it is experience, that brings about some hope. You'll never have a hope without having an experience.
No.
And at some point when we're talking about evolving our faith, especially in such a fast changing world, the pace of the world right now is so fast, so quick, that today you could be living in one reality and tomorrow living in a whole nother different reality. Mm-hmm. If this pandemic has not shown us anything else, it has shown us that.
Yes.
Just that quick, your reality can change. Just that quick, your reality can shift. And the question is, how do you keep up?
Right.
Because you want to make sure that you stay relevant with the times that you're in. Because if you're not relevant, then you no longer have any influence. You don't have any, and influence is power.
Right.
Influence is power. Without influence, you can't gain attention.
No.
Without attention, you as a person, as a personality, without attention, you are what I would call kinetic power.
Okay.
No, not kinetic, potential power.
Potential power, right. You were unrealized at that point.
Exactly. You're just potential power.
Right.
And one of the greatest mistakes that we make is that we stop up at the potential and never move to the kinetic. And we have to pull out the kinetic, that movement, that ability to move, that ability to keep up, that ability to process. We have to pull that out in order that we keep our lives relevant with others around us. Because if we don't, then eventually we'll find ourselves very, very lonely. We'll find ourselves, we'll be dogmatic. We'll be, we'll be those people that, well, this is how they should have did it. They should have, because back in the day, but we ain't back in the day anymore. And the comforts of back, and that comfortability of back in the day can't be here today because you have to grow in today. Yesterday was the comfort. Today is the growth.
I've watched so many people build those walls around that area that they define as being comfortable. They stack thing after thing after thing up and build these little fortresses of comfort around themselves. And like you said, at a certain point, the walls get so high, they become disconnected with how everything else has evolved, which is what they should be doing in the first place. But I always, and me having been one of those people at one point, and I'll speak for myself, I understood that one of the things that kept me in that zone of comfort was a lack of confidence. And I had a lack of confidence because my faith was not where it needed to be to step out. I was so entrenched in an ideology that mistakes and failures were something that you avoided at all costs, that I was too fearful to make either one, right? To fail or make a mistake. So I'm like, if I can't control it, I'm going to stay right here. Not really understanding until very late in my years that that's how you get the experience. That's how you get the knowledge. That's how your confidence grows, because you've proven to yourself that you can endure, you can withstand, you can do whatever. Like, it's not going to take you out of here, or it's not going to be a permanent blemish, on your permanent record, as they used to say, right? It's something that you had to learn. It was, like you say, part of the process. Once you really understand that what a lot of people term mistakes or failures is part of the process.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't, you have to turn those into those stepping stones that move you toward the resolution or the goal that you hoped it was going to be in the first place.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You got to build it on something. It's not like you're just going to walk out and your ground's going to be flat and you're just going to walk a straight line to success. No, there's going to be some stairs you have to climb. And those stairs are the mistakes and failures that you have along the way.
Definitely. And it's like a baby. A baby falls as they begin to walk. But as they get to understand their own body, as they get to understand the parameters of the living space they may be in, as they get to understand the voices that they follow, they begin to learn how to walk. And then they learn how to navigate after learning how to walk. Because just because you know how to walk don't mean you know how to navigate.
Exactly.
So it's all about exploring. Life is a wonderful exploration. And the problem that we have is that we get so caught up in discovery that we neglect exploration. We get caught up in the newness of everything. We like the way new feels, but we don't like the work that goes into actually
exploring it deeper.
Exploring what you're in now.
Right.
Going deeper. Going deeper means work.
Yeah.
Digging deeper means work.
Yeah.
Getting out that shovel, putting it to the ground, digging means work. Newness happens not always by our choice. Sometimes something new just comes into your vector, and it's like, oh, this is great. Oh, wow. But when you're dealing with exploration, that is intentional. And the way we really evolve in these days and times is, number one, by being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be intentional of the people that are in my presence. I have to be intentional with the people that I put in office. I have to be intentional with the places I let my children go. I have to be intentional with the sex partners I choose. I have to be intentional. Intentionality plays a big, huge part in our maturity in evolution. If we do not be intentional, we leave everything up to happenstance, to chance. And chance has a way of whipping your behind. Chance has a way of slapping you upside your head.
Yeah.
Because you have no control of the parameters.
Right.
But when you're intentional, intentionality is you really walking in your divinity. Intentionality is you really walking in your godhood, your God state. And a lot of people who are religious, they're afraid of being intentional because they think they're stepping on God's toes.
Okay, I can see that.
But in all actuality, the Father is trying to get the Son to grow up to be like him.
We can't get a shovel on that one. We can't get a shovel on that
one. Man, we've decided that we would rather let Dad do all the work, and we be partakers in the inheritance without work.
It's funny that you say that, because I was literally having a conversation with somebody today, and what I was saying to them was their behavior was, in a sense, like they had this habit of bailing everybody out. You know, they work at a place where people just don't own up to the things that you're supposed to do. So this person steps in and bails every person out, including management. And I said, that's great. But what you're not doing is you're not giving them the opportunity to step up. You're not giving them the opportunity to evolve. You're actually in unintentionally stealing these chances for them to develop. And you do it from a good place, but because you're out of alignment with what was intended, you're being more of a disruption than an assistant. You are basically enabling these people to stay in these zones and these spaces that are unhealthy for them. And
because they won't mature.
Right, like you said, the Father wants us to learn. The Father wants I don't know a baby that didn't listen. I got this scar over one of my eyebrows, and that came from me falling down some steps. I don't know any kid that grew up when I grew up that don't have a scar somewhere from falling off of something.
Most definitely.
It was part of, obviously you did your due diligence to make sure your kids were safe, but you understood that kids were going to get bumps and bruises. We didn't have all these plastic, super safe toys. We had metal Tonka trucks. We had skates with metal wheels on them. Everything was just hard. Everything was like very utilitarian. It's like, listen, learn. You're gonna learn one way or another. You're gonna play with it right, or you're gonna jack yourself up, and then you're gonna learn to play with it right. But either way, you're gonna learn, right?
You better believe
it. I had a person I worked with one time, and they shared this expression with me, and I thought it was so appropriate. And they said, people expect you to nerf the world, like just put everybody in like a big Nerf bubble and protect them all. And that sense of entitlement, like I have to watch out for your feelings, is a direct demonstration of how much you're not willing to grow, how much you are now giving me the power to dictate what happens to you, as opposed to, like you said, you being intentional and doing what you need to do to move yourself to the place that you want to be. Doing those things that are going to promote your faith, promote your confidence,
Yes, sir.
Doing those things like that are going to require, and I dare not say this the wrong way, because now I'm going to say it like I want to say it. Commitment wrapped in discipline.
Yes.
Because you have to have those two in tandem, because one is commitment that's undisciplined will not keep you on track for your goal.
Yeah.
It'll keep you busy doing something, but not on track for your goal.
This part of the conversation reminds me of a song back in the 90s when Regina Belle came out.
Okay.
And Regina Belle had a song called If I Could.
Uh-huh.
And some of the lyrics was, if I could, I'd protect you from the sadness in your eyes.
Yep.
Give you courage in a world of compromise. Yes, I would, if I could. I would teach you all the things I've never learned, and I'd help you cross the bridges that I've burned. Yes, I would, if I could. And the part that really spoke to me the most was when she said, if I could, I would shield your innocence from time.
Yep.
But that part of life I gave you isn't mine.
Come on now.
I'll watch you grow as I let you go.
She got it.
Yo, whoever wrote that song, they understood the process of evolution, of growing, of becoming. We should never stop becoming.
Mm-hmm.
We are always in the state of becoming. Even if we tried to stop becoming, we couldn't do it because it's not a voluntary effort.
Right.
Becoming, you do it whether you put an effort or not, because your environment will begin to speak to you and tell you to do certain things if you're not intentional.
Right.
If you're not intentional, if you don't take the responsibility, then guess what? Outside forces begin to take that responsibility from you, and they will make you do things that you thought you couldn't do or that you thought you wouldn't do.
Listen. I am a living witness to all of that. Oh, and our wonderful engineer says Ray Charles wrote that song.
Yo, Ray Charles has always been one of our favorites. First of all, the song was just so deep. Oh my God, yo. And the thing is, when we talk about faith, we're talking about the building blocks of manifestation. We're talking about faith. We're talking about belief. The evolution of faith, this is the good thing about it though. The evolution of faith is that faith must die and become knowledge.
Come on, expound on that one. This is getting good. Expound on that one.
See, if I always believe something, me believing something means that I'm doing it without the information.
Okay.
I'm doing it from a place of I'm trusting without having all the information, all the pieces, all the experiences. Right. I'm hoping. But when faith graduates to knowledge, I know that this is how it's going to work out. I know that this is how things is going. I may not know the method, but I understand that at the end, I'll be on the mountaintop. I understand that no matter what this pandemic is doing in the world, no matter how they're trying to change systems or whatever, or paradigm shifts, at the end of it, I'm going to be okay. My family is going to be okay because I'm going to be intentional and allow my faith to die. I'm going to have those experiences. But after having those experiences, I'm going to take the lessons from those experiences and I'm going to choose a better way. I'm going to choose a more perfect way.
So let me give you a quick story about that, and it's a personal story that I love to share every chance I get because I'm one of those. I'm born and raised in Philly, but I always tell people I'm from Missouri. You got to show me, right? I'm from the show me state, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're talking about faith turning into experience, and that being the thing that helps us evolve. And I am on board with you 110% on that. And here's exactly why. Years ago, about 20 years ago, actually, I was out of work. I got laid off. I started losing things. I didn't have money, started losing things. Got my car repossessed, lights turned off, all kinds of stuff. Was in crazy debt, did not understand how I was going to get out of it. I prayed, and I prayed earnestly. And I still had fear, but I continued to pray earnestly. And out of nowhere, a $4,000 check dropped in my mailbox, literally unexpectedly, right? So we're going to fast forward 20 years. I recently moved, and I had, like I said, I'm a planner. I dotted I's and crossed T's, and I had everything mapped out. I had 8, 9 different places that I had that, number from 1 to 8 that were my preferences to move to, right? I didn't have control over the fact that I had to move because my landlord decided to sell the house I was in. But I was intentional about, okay, here's how I want to approach this. Brother, I walked through 1 through 8, I got none of them. I put in application after application, got none of them. Wasn't that I wasn't qualified. It's because of this market that we're in that my timing wasn't where it needed to be for me to get those. Well, I thought my timing wasn't where it needed to be for me to get those things. What I had to do was say, okay, God, you know what? I'm not going to spaz out. I'm not going to panic. I'm going to trust just like I did back then. That faith had turned into an experience. So even though things were not working out like I hoped, and Mel, let me tell you, I had literally 2 weeks before I was out of there, and I did not know where I was going to go. But in 2 weeks, actually 13 days prior, he came through again in the only way that he could come through and provided me with something that was completely unexpected and made it work out the way it needed to work out. So I said, all right, God, this wasn't on my radar, but I know you did this, so I'm trusting I'm going to be faithful of where you're putting me, because that faith that I had before that turned into experience, I know if I continue to do it again, it will turn into another experience that I will have a testimony for and be able to be a greater servant for your people. That faith to experience thing, brother, nobody has ever explained it like you just did, but I love how you broke that down.
Man, I appreciate it. It really comes to us really understanding that faith is a gift of innocence. Faith is a gift of a place within you that has been untouched and unmolested by disappointments, by hurts, by pains, because it is from there, from that pure place, that you throw your trust to someone and believe. You're not even hoping, you believe that they're going to catch it. I threw my trust out there, I believe you're going to catch it.
Yeah.
But after a few drops, you stop throwing it as much. After a few more drops, you just stop throwing it at all. And then you find yourself just standing there being that potential energy. All this power, all this wonderful ability, but it's stagnant. It's not moving. It's not progressing. And you end up becoming someone that people would have wished more for you.
Mm. Mm.
But in these times, I understand that, things, you may not know exactly how you're going to make it through. A lot of people are worried about, schools and jobs closing down. A lot of people are worried about their businesses that they built from the ground up being basically snatched from them by the pandemic because you can't do the business that you want to do. And people are worried. These worries are real. They're so real that they're manifesting in our communities in gun violence. They're manifesting in our communities in domestic violence. They're manifesting in our communities in a myriad of ways that really aren't positive, because we've been fed this fear. And so now people are expressing that fear in violent ways.
Exactly. But listen, before we go on with this, because we always dig in, we got to get ready to pay some bills, because we cannot do this without our sponsorship, who we love and appreciate. So listen, you guys, we are talking about evolving your faith, working through the process. Make sure you don't tune out. It's going to get better when we get back on the other side of these messages. Stay with us.
I feel like busting loose. I said, Shala, come on, y'all said. I said, Shala, get it, y'all said. I said, Shala, come on, y'all said. I said, Shala, get it, y'all said. Give me the bridge now.
Got the music, tell your body how to move and feel. It can serve as meditation, so no need to.
All right. And we right back at it. But
Yes,
listen,
sir.
you were touching on some great points. You were talking about how these things that can happen to us when we don't unleash our potential energy can result in life kind of throwing things at us and causing us to respond in certain ways, like you said, the increase in violent crimes, the increase in domestic violence, and other ways as well. So I want to kind of get back on that so we can keep moving in that vein.
Yeah, basically, faith and fear are literally the same thing.
Okay.
Faith is just your energy being pointed positively. Fear is your energy being pointed negatively. And it's the same coin, just different sides. Because at the end of the day, both are working with your belief.
Exactly.
Both are working from the position of your perception. So we have to, with that being said, we have to be careful who we allow to have influence on our perception of life,
Yes.
on our perception of our relationships, on the perception of what we can do, on the perception of our abilities. Because if we surround ourselves with the wrong people, those people who have negative perceptions about us can infect our perception of ourselves.
Which is why, like you said earlier, we have to be very intentional about some of the things that we do. The smallest things. Listen, I told you I had a great time this weekend, but here's one thing that I know. That was great in a small dose. That's not something I need to continue to do.
Right.
It's definitely not something I need to continue to do, because it's not going to move me in any direction that's going to be as productive or constructive as I need or even want it to be in my life at this point. I'm no longer in my 20s. I ain't got time to waste. I got stuff to do.
Listen, you listen, man. We got to understand that when we take something and we pull it out of balance, that it throws off the whole recipe. The thing about a good recipe is that there is a balance to everything that is put into that recipe. And when we overload one thing, it changes the whole flavor of the whole entire recipe, and it may ruin the meal. So it's like, yo, like you said, you know, I had a taste of fun this weekend. That's all I needed right now. Because you know, if we have too much fun, we get lazy.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, I think that, you know, in these days and times, you know, there has to be, you know, especially from our religious institutions and our political institutions, there has to be, or there should be. I mean, let me not say has to be. There should be someone standing in place to teach us how to positively reinforce our belief systems so that we can move from the baby steps of belief, faith, and move into the maturity of adulthood of knowledge, of knowing. I remember when I was learning how to ride the bus when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Going to high school, 9th grade, like, yo, well, you're going to be taking the bus. I'm like, the bus? I don't know about no bus. You need a bus. Yo, I mean, you can't drive me? No, you're going to take the bus. So when I first started off, I really didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But after about 3-4 weeks, I knew my route. I knew where the bus was going. I knew the people that was going to be at the bus stop. At the time I was going to be at the bus stop, I made friends with some of those people. You walk in a different energy. You walk in a different swagger when you know. When you know, like, one thing I know is that I can fight. I know I can fight. I know I can play music. Like, these are things I know. You can't take that from me. So there's a different energy that I move in.
Right.
I move in such a way that it draws other people to me who want to learn from me.
Right.
But if I'm stuck just always kicking to you, but you gotta believe. And this has been the biggest problem in our religious institutions. They're always telling you to believe, but they're never bringing you to knowledge. They're always telling you stuff like, you know what? Jesus is soon to come. He's soon to come. We've been saying that for 100 million years now.
Right.
So either our doctrine is wrong and we miss something, or you haven't taken us from belief to knowing something. There's something we're missing. There's something we're missing. Even in simple things, as in, like, you know, when you go to church, you be hearing, God's about to do it. He's about to, ooh, he's about to, yeah. And you getting all excited. But after 10 years of God about to, well, I mean, my man, what's taking you so long?
Listen, man, I have such an issue with religion,
bruh.
I have such I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's unnecessary. But my issue with religion is religion to me develops performers.
Yes, sir.
People move into titles and positions and they begin to perform as they believe the congregation expects them to perform. Even the congregation themselves begins to move in ways that become so expected, almost choreographed, right? One of the things that gets me every time, pastors that hoop. And I'm not saying it's never going to happen. I'm not saying you're going to get caught up. But if I can look at my watch and go, oh, must be 11:45 because your sermon has changed, it now hits me as a performance as opposed to a message. And it makes it less palatable for me. it puts me in a place where I'm questioning the sincerity or even the authenticity of what you just fed me. And that seasoning, that seasoning that they put in it was a little too much. It threw the balance off for me. If I can look, and Deacon Jones is doing the same thing every week, brother, how you doing? You know, God loves you, and he's saying the same thing every week. Like you said, that at a certain point, it becomes obligatory. It just becomes part of the custom, and it loses. I become desensitized to it. So what are we really doing? We're just showing up like for a class, or what are we showing up for? We're supposed to be showing up to get fed, but then there'll be several pastors that say, well, y'all should be praising in the parking lot. Well, if I didn't know what was going to happen at every 10 minutes, I probably would be praising in the parking lot.
We have to move from this being theater to make this actual life.
Yes.
Life principles. You know, of course, there will always be a level of entertainment.
Yes.
When it comes, because if you can't hold my attention, I don't care what your message is. I won't be aware enough to receive it because you're so boring.
Right.
But you've got to have, again, that balance, that understands that there'll be some days where I do hoop. There'll be some days where I just teach. Right. There'll be some days where I won't even do neither because I understand that what we all need right now may be a good song, an inspirational song. Yep. Maybe what we need right now is financial literacy courses. Hey guys, I know y'all thought we was gonna come here today and hoop and dance. We're not dancing today. I want y'all to dance when you get your house. So we're gonna have these financial literacy courses today. I've brought in someone to talk to us about our money, about stocks, money management, bonds. Let's deal with that stuff, real estate. And when we get that, then we can see that we're building lives instead of building shows.
Yes.
The church is great for building shows, but it's horrible for building lives. I can't talk to other religions because I haven't been ingratiated in those things. I don't know what Muslims do. I do know what they do, but I have never experienced it for myself. I don't know, so for me, I'm talking from my experience. And it comes to a point where, okay, we're not dealing with holistic life anymore. What we're dealing with is you getting the reaction from the people that you want, and the people getting the reaction from you that they want. So what it becomes is religious programming.
Yes.
And there are so many people now. We've gotten so good that we got the light show in the back now. Dim the lights in the audience. Cut on the light show. We got Facebook Live to expand our ability to perform.
Don't even get me started on that one. Please don't get me started on that one.
So it's like, when do we? I'd rather take the performance and put it to the side for a little bit, so that I can get instruction, so that I can get directions, so that I can learn. I want to learn, because if I don't learn, this is what kills me, is that the people don't die because of the devil. The people don't die because of haters. The people die because of lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We must be informed, because with greater information comes greater truth. A lot of people are living from 1970s information, so they have a 1970s truth.
Right.
And that 1970s truth is the devil is everything. The devil is in everything, and everybody is the devil. But when you get to 2021, you recognize that there's been more revealed. There's more information out there. Now I know why this happened. Now I know why you did it this way. Now I understand scripture at a better level because I can go and see what the author was saying and understand that the author meant that for his times.
Or you should be at that point. And that's part of that problem we were just talking about when it becomes more theatrical than education.
Yeah. It's because we haven't evolved.
So we got about 4 more minutes left. So what things can we do from your perspective that are going to allow us to have that faith move to experience, that faith to evolve into the experience, which will manifest itself in confidence and greater commitments and greater intentionality? What, from your perspective, what things can we do to transition?
Well, the number one thing is intentionality. Make a decision. Make a decision, because you can't move anywhere until you make a decision, whether it's the wrong direction or the right direction. At least, even if you're going in the wrong direction, at least you can do a U-turn and realize, hey, this ain't right, and we go this way.
So you got to at least be moving.
You got to be moving. You got to be moving. And so you have to make a choice. Be intentional about your choice, and pay attention along the way to make sure that it was the right choice. Because if you catch yourself doing the wrong thing early and turn it around, nobody will ever know but you. So, number one is intentionality. Number two, it's commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we lose strength along the journey because we're not being stimulated. Just because you're not being stimulated doesn't mean that you should give up. Now you have to find things that stimulate you. That's your work. But you can only do that work from a place of commitment.
And that goes back to what you were saying about being someplace and exploring that place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like finding yourself trapped on a desert island, and you're trapped there for 2 weeks, and then after a while you just give up, and the only places you've been on the island is the beach and to that little coconut tree that you found so you can nourish yourself. You're going to get the coconut because you're going to drink the water. You're going to fish so you can make sure that you eat.
Right.
But you don't realize that what you thought was a desert island, on the other side of the island is a whole city.
There's a whole resort, huh?
A whole resort. But you didn't explore the land.
Right.
You stayed where you were comfortable. You stayed in the places where you knew, well, if I just stay here, at least I'll have. And that's the problem with most of us. We feel like if I stay here, at least I'll have. You have to move from the at least I have to I want more. I will have. And that happens.
Not being willing to take that risk, like the story with the talents, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we have intentionality, we have commitment, and what's the final component that we can throw on top of there?
And the final component is sticking to your guns.
That discipline.
Yeah, it's the discipline. See, most people think that commitment and discipline are the same things. They're very similar, but there's still something. There's something that you get from discipline that you don't get from commitment.
Mm-hmm.
See, commitment is a heart thing.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline is a mind thing.
Mm-hmm.
So even when my heart's not in it, there's a certain set of principles that I've bound myself to make sure that I keep going until I find the motivation to get my heart back in it.
My man, brought it home as always. I love you for that, man.
Man, listen, brother. Thank you for your trust.
Hey, listen, I my faith has moved to experience when it comes to us, man. But on that note, y'all, listen, we touched on something a little earlier, and our wonderful engineer is going to give us a musical exit today with the song If I Could. As we depart, remember what we talked about today. We talked about intentionality, we talked about commitment, and we talked about discipline. These three things, these are key things that are necessary to evolving your faith, moving that faith from faith to experience. Don't forget to check us out. We'll be back real shortly. Make sure you tune into the station for all the upcoming updates, and we'll make sure we keep you posted on everything that's going on. We got a lot for you, so please stay tuned. And on that note, we wish everybody a great evening. Take care. Come on, I'll wait for that song now. There you go.
If I could, I'd protect you from the sadness in your eyes, give you courage in a world of compromise. Yes, I would. If I could, I would teach you all the things I never learned, and I'd help you cross the bridges that I've burned. Yes, I would. If I could, I would try to shield your innocence from time, but the part of life I gave you isn't mine. I watched you grow so I could let you go. If I could, I would help you make it through the hungry years. But I know that I could never cry your tears. But I would if I could. Yes, if I live in a time and place where you don't want to be, you don't have to walk along this road with me. My yesterday won't have to be your way. If I knew, I would try to change the world I brought you to. And there isn't very much that I could do, but I would if I could. Oh, baby, Daddy wants to protect you
and help my baby through the hungry edge. 'Cause you're part of me, and if you ever need, set a shoulder to cry on, or just someone to talk to. I'll be there, I'll be there. I didn't change the world, but I would